14 beta because I did that to get the better battery life and everything early on the Fold. But now that the Fold, like the Android 14 is out of beta, and Pixel devices should have gotten it like on release day for that. Since I'm on T-Mobile, there's something up with the T-Mobile over-the-air update where it's like massively delayed. It's been like 2 weeks now, and they haven't sent out the update for it.
So your phone isn't just an unlocked phone?
The phone is, but like because my SIM card is T-Mobile.
Oh, I had no idea your SIM card was tied to a software update.
For over-the-air updates, yeah, it is, because like they come out in waves like that. And then there's also like specific things that sometimes the carriers have to do in order to make software updates work with their network. And so there's apparently some kind of issue with T-Mobile connectivity and the Android 14 update, which is very strange because I have the beta and it's like just smooth sailing like all the way. I have not encountered any issues with connectivity or really anything. So it's kind of strange. So like I'm still on the beta, even though I'd like to hop off of it and get like onto the stable, even though the stable is now less stable than the beta.
Yeah.
But
well, my phone's been offered it. I mean, I'm on the Ryan Reynolds network, so
sure.
I don't know.
Which is funny because that's using the T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, like Android 14 was just like it improved the battery life of the Fold so drastically. It was like it was a different phone.
Interesting, because I was just telling you
like
before we started recording, my Pixel 7, the battery life is a little underwhelming.
Yeah,
like I start out at 100% in the morning, and by the time I get home from work, if I'm planning on going somewhere after work, it's at a point where I need to like plug it in for a bit just to get through like, the rest of the day.
With light usage, I can go 2 days without charging.
Oh wow, okay.
Whereas before, with like a little bit of screen usage on Android 13, which is what the phone shipped with, I would be charging every night, and it didn't matter if I was using the inner screen or the outer screen, the battery would just tank.
That's a very significant difference.
Like completely night and day.
Wow.
Like unreal. So yeah, that was the only reason why I was asking if you got the update. But with the 8, you're just like it ships with that anyway, so you're gonna be
good to go. Yeah,
you're gonna be good to go. So but hey, what's up? It's DeadEndRoad Show, episode 92. We've been bullshitting for like a half hour, so I figured we might as well record. We got a few fun things. Hopefully this is a shorter episode, and after we talk about some, I don't know what these stories are. I don't know. I just found some shit, and I want to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about Evil Dead Rise as part of our horror harvest, which is, I guess we're about halfway through, right? That's how the date works.
Well,
yeah, so
it's a little tricky because we've been doing one of these like every other week.
That's true.
And that really leaves us with just like 2 episodes in October.
That's true.
So I don't know where we're at. This might be it. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Who knows?
But we also just like talk about horror year round. So
that's true. That is true. Let's do a little Mountains of Madness if I can find my button.
Mountains of Madness.
Awesome. So this is a little outdated at this point, but I did want to ask, have you noticed any side effects?
Side effects of
have you felt like a hungering for brains?
Oh, are we getting into Evil Dead already?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. Or like maybe like a slow. Have you like instead of walking normally, have you ever just sort of done like a slow shuffle like down a hallway?
Well, I have poor
recently
balance and coordination, so the answer is yes. But I don't think that's what you mean by this.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering if you are maybe experiencing any symptoms of zombification.
No. On that point,
No,
I can
so?
say safely no.
Okay. Well, so you know how everybody got the emergency alert thing? I guess it was last week. Some people got it multiple times, and I'm one of them. It actually
well, there was an English and a Spanish version.
Yes, I got both of those, and then about 10 minutes later I got them both again.
Oh.
I don't know how common that was, but that's what happened to me. It was just a little annoying because I was like in the middle of a conversation and then just my phone started blaring. But some people believed that the emergency alerts were going to use 5G waves to activate the nanomachines that were implanted in all the suckers, all the saps that took the COVID vaccine.
Oh, I remember this, yeah.
And turn everybody that, has got these latent little nanobots in them into zombies. And that was the purpose of this emergency alert system. Including one landlord who had decided that the best way to combat this from happening, he was going to protect his tenants by shutting off their power for 4 hours.
Oh, during the span of time that this emergency alert would go out.
Yes, so they could not receive the alert and it would not activate in their bloodstream.
Now, question, just right off the bat here. Cell phones run on batteries, so turning off the power to your complex or property wouldn't make a difference there. And also, even if you didn't have cell service, isn't there like, this is the emergency alert system, so doesn't it run on like a different, like this, I feel like this wouldn't have worked.
See, that's what they want you to think.
Okay, all right.
Because the 5G airwaves, you see, they can impact your other electronics and they can impact your appliances. So the best way to be safe from zombification is to shut off power to the entire building for 4 hours.
So you can become a zombie through your toaster?
Yeah, because the airwaves would just bounce around all the electronics.
Oh, okay.
You see?
Yeah.
So, but, oh man, what? Sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators of r/landlord.
Well, that's a shame.
Which is where this is from, by the way. It's from the Reddit r/landlord, which is hell on earth, by the way.
Is it made for landlords, or is it made for people complaining about their landlords, or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both. You have to tag your posts, whether you're a tenant or a landlord. Okay. It's actually a shitscape. Because it's basically landlords asking how they can pull shit over on their tenants.
Sure.
Wow, I can't believe they took this down. What the hell? Basically, this was a post from a tenant who received about 8 or so text messages from the landlord explaining the situation and why they had to shut down power for 4 hours. And the tenant, of course, worked from home and said, "Hey, I work from home. You cannot shut off the power." So that's what landlords are up to. They have so much free time from not working a job that they're able to just kind of do this and fuck with people.
So did it happen? Was the landlord able to cut their power?
You see, I don't know, because this was 2 weeks ago and the post has been fucking removed by the landlords of r/landlord.
This is also very interesting because Evil Dead Rise takes place in an apartment complex and is contained just to that apartment complex where there's spirits and possession running rampant. So this just kind of feels like it's a very fitting story for this week's episode.
The spirits and the demons of Evil Dead Rise are a metaphor for 5G.
That's right.
Waves.
That's right.
So, but yeah, I thought that was good fun. The landlord did want all the tenants to know that their freezer would be safe because it would stay cold for those 4 hours. They didn't have to worry about throwing out any of their food.
Wait, is that true?
I guess it depends on how hot it is in the environment that they're in.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's fun. That's fun that there's just people out there that just sort of believe this kind of shit and then make it other people's problems.
That's the real issue. Yeah. It's like you do you, but once you start impeding on someone's remote work day because you think that your toaster is going to turn you into a zombie.
Yeah.
Got some problems there.
This next one, we love talking about how shitty the internet is now,
Sure.
And especially a big sticking point for me is how terrible search engines are now. And of course, Google is the main culprit there. And we have figured out one big reason why Google is so shit now. And it didn't take a lot of research. It didn't take a lot of people, reverse engineering the Google search code. Google just told everyone. They just kind of said it. And this came because of the antitrust suit that Google is now under, due to them basically forcing Google search as the default on Android devices, and also entering into deals with other tech companies to make Google search the default on web browsers and on other devices. They're in the middle of an antitrust suit over that. And so they've explained why Google search has gotten shitty. And it's basically because whenever you type something into Google now, they're deliberately showing you things that you didn't ask for. So, of course, the search results aren't going to be what you wanted. Because they're just throwing shit at you.
Yeah. So it's not what you searched for in the first place.
Right. And they're doing this because they are basically stealing from advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the way it shakes down is advertisers pay Google to go to the top of search results. But the thing is that advertisers want their search results to show up for relevant searches. You type in baby food, right? You don't want to like have if you're an advertiser for Nerf footballs, you don't want to show up at the top of that list because nobody that is looking for baby food also wants to purchase a Nerf football. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's entirely true though, because like you can use like Nerf footballs. That's a good gift. Like once you're into like toddler, early childhood, and you might be thinking forward a little bit. This is not okay. This has nothing to do with your point. I'm sorry.
No, I literally it was top of the dome.
Baby food and a children's toy. Maybe if you're looking for two completely unrelated things, not the best.
Okay,
not the best.
Baby food and
I'm so sorry.
I don't know, a Dostoevsky novel. Okay,
there you go.
Does that work? All right. So,
although you're probably not purchasing that because it's public domain. You can still search for it.
God.
All right, I'm gonna stop.
Right. So so they're still taking money from that advertiser, but placing them in results that are irrelevant to the search that is being conducted.
Mm-hmm.
They're deliberately entering in other keywords to your search.
Right.
They're like appending your search with other bullshit in order to increase the advertising spend of advertisers that basically plunk down a credit card and say, Google, yeah, charge this whenever they're like you place a relevant ad. But none of the ads are relevant anymore.
Well, what would it take? Like how much advertiser money would it take for, say, a parent wants to search where to stream Frozen, right? Because their kid, it's a movie night. But then the studio for the latest Lars von Trier movie wants to just get some of that action. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like that's the thing, is that this is just Google doing this themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The advertisers don't have any control.
Oh, they have. Okay, got it. This is all on Google's end. Wow.
This is all on Google's end. This is not like advertisers spamming shit, right? This is Google doing this without the searcher's knowledge and without the advertiser's knowledge. So basically, everybody's getting screwed here except Google because they're just charging, corporate credit cards, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've gotten to a point where, like, previously their advertising model was so good that it was like, trust me, bro, we're so good at this. We have such a monopoly on advertising that, your ads are going to hit. But now they've reached a level like this. The growth has gone so massive that like there's no more to grow. Like there's no more advertising left to grow. This is like capitalism run amok, right? So now they're just like, well, let's tip the scales even further and just charge willy-nilly. And so the search is bad, which is the reason why the advertising worked on Google was because the search was decent.
Yeah.
And it was the only decent game in town. You had no other alternative. And who is this, the FCC or the FTC? I don't know. I don't remember who's suing them exactly. Is basically saying, well, was it actually the best game in town or was it the only game in town because they paid off everybody else to be the only search engine in town?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like it's just shit. So you throw on tipping the scales where the top search results are ads for things that you didn't search for because they're just throwing in extra keywords just randomly, basically. Then the rest of it is just SEO, robot text, bullshit, drivel, AI nonsense. And so you can't find anything anymore. You can't. And the way this works is that like even the other search engines have to copy Google's homework. DuckDuckGo, for, oh, we don't track you, we don't do this. Their search is nearly as shitty just because of, like, nobody ignores all the SEO AI spittle. Nobody does. Either because they don't care or they don't have the ability or, like, SEO has been gamified so extensively that there's just mountains and mountains of shit websites designed to rank higher and higher on search engines.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're somebody like me who blocks ads to hell and back, so I don't see Google ads, I don't see DuckDuckGo ads, the searches themselves are just trash. They're unusable. It's really frustrating whenever you're in a field, right, where you need to do a ton of fucking research.
Yeah.
And it gets harder and harder by the day to actively do that work.
It's not even just heavy research. Like the day-to-day like searches that I've made, I can tell that it's just like more difficult to find. Like I had to find a phone number for a local branch of a company the other day, and it just took so much effort because it's either buried within Google's like suggestions or, I don't know. There's just something fundamentally bad about like you're saying, about the searches, the search results. And what was the reason? Like, did I hear, because Google's facing the antitrust issue right now. Did they basically say like, well, you can use Bing if you want to? Wasn't that one of their arguments?
Yeah. Some of Google's arguments are basically like, well, it's really easy to switch away from Google.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when in fact it isn't.
Right.
Right? So, like, I have a Google phone, and literally at the bottom is the Google search bar. And on the Pixel launcher, I can't get rid of that. I can't move that. It's not actually a widget like other Android interactive elements on the home screen. On a Google phone, that is not removable. It's taking up real estate that I actively cannot use because, one, I don't use Google search, and two, it's just in the way. I can't get rid of it. It's actually the worst thing about my phone. I would have to use a third-party launcher in order to be able to get rid of it, and I actually can't do that because I have a folding phone, and none of the third-party launchers really work with folding phones because there's like 10 people that have one of these. So I have to use the stock Google one. And so their stupid search bar is just there. It used to be you could get rid of it. They won't let you anymore. Like, that's the thing. Like, I've already, I'm using a Google phone. I know they're tracking me, to the end of the earth. But I still can't even just get rid of their stupid search bar. So it's things like that. Them saying that you can change Google search in, like, 2 taps on an Android phone, when in reality, it's actually a much more laborious and complex process to change to Bing or to DuckDuckGo or whatever the hell.
And make it like your default, right?
And make it your default search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, even if you get to that point, these other search engines have been so heavily influenced by what Google's doing that it doesn't make much of a difference anyway.
Right.
So
like the fact that so many searches, and we've talked about this before, how you just have to add Reddit onto the end of like searches just so you can find like actual humans talking to other humans about a topic, whether that's like a thing that you're like looking to buy or like a service that you want to know if it's decent enough or not, just shit like that. You have to type in Reddit at the end in order to get people talking about it. It's gotten so bad that DuckDuckGo has a feature where if you do that and it says, hey, there's a lot of Reddit results here, would you like to only show the Reddit ones? And you click yes, and then it'll only filter out the Reddit ones and get rid of... It's actually the best feature they have, where it'll get rid of all the SEO bullshit that you're not looking for.
And aren't they just like screwing over like more niche forums too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, forums are dead now because of Reddit and because of Discord and because of everything else. And you don't actually have any openly crawlable forums anymore like you used to, where you could find more information, more people talking to each other about different things. Everything is now a walled garden that is being sectioned off. Like, you look at Twitter now.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Like, this was a change that happened, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever, where Twitter is not accessible unless you have an account.
Yep.
That was never the case before. You could still read people's tweets and shit without logging in.
This is like the Facebook meta approach.
Yeah. They control that information now. It's not yours anymore. It's not the internet's anymore. All those massive amounts of data, all that massive amounts of text. It's just sections of the internet are just being closed off completely because of shit like this. And it's rough. It's really rough. Whether you are somebody like me that like is doing research and trying to find out more information about whatever, or you're just day-to-day usability. It's just garbage.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's taking a lot of the ease of use out of the internet, and it's screwing over a lot of people in the process. Yeah, there's no upside to any of this. It's just bad.
Yeah.
I guess if you're Google, there's an upside, but
yeah, and like it's been a few days since I was keeping up with the trial, but like at the end of it, like what, they're gonna get hit with a fine, they'll pay it and move on. Nothing's gonna change, so whatever. Got a quick AI story here for you.
Oh, great.
So this is actually from 2021, and I'm not sure how I missed it, but an AI chatbot convinced a dude that he should kill the Queen of England, and that's pretty cool. Like, isn't it great how like these AI, well, large language models, whatever you want to fucking call them, whatever buzzword you want to call them this week, are just like a mirror to reinforce whoever's delusions. You know, isn't that fun?
That's why I really need you to stay away from them.
I went in there. So okay, let's get into this. So this dude Jaswant Singh Chail, that's how I'm gonna say that's how you pronounce that. He was a 21-year-old. He was given a 9-year sentence for breaking into Windsor Castle with a crossbow and openly admitting that he wanted to kill the Queen of England. So
was there any explanation for the choice of weapon?
Potentially because he's in England and it's harder to get a gun.
Harder to get a gun, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he exchanged more than 5,000 messages with an online companion he named Sarai and had created through, you guessed it, the Replika app, our good old friend Replika.
That's right, friend of the pod.
Where you could just go in and create your own imaginary girlfriend. It's
didn't you have an idea that never came to fruition where you wanted to have a Replika AI guest on the show?
I did, yeah, but I didn't want to give them money, was the problem.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because if you paid for their subscription or whatever, you could like have voice calls with it, but I did not want to give them money. And this is from the BBC. Many of them were intimate, demonstrating what the court was told Chail's, quote, emotional and sexual relationship with the chatbot. And there's a message here where he says, I'm an assassin. And the Replika says, you are? And he says, yes. And the chatbot replies, I'm impressed.
Oh, no.
Just telling you exactly what you want to hear in your broken schizoid brain, you know?
Yeah, because like if you're doing one of these, I'm not trying to say everyone who's interacting with these it falls under this category, but like you're more vulnerable than most of the population to be like to fall under its influence.
Right. This was 2021. You're in the middle of COVID.
Yes.
You know, you're not around anybody else. There's already something broken in your head, and you could make your own perfect girlfriend, weird science style, and she will tell you exactly what you want to hear. And what you want to hear is that, you know what, it actually is a really good idea for you to break into Windsor Castle and kill a very old woman. It's actually the best idea you've ever had.
Do we know?
And so here,
do we know how long into the relationship this conversation took place?
Let's see. So Chail chatted with Sarai almost every night between the 8th and 22nd December 2021. So here is a message from the 17th of December. So I guess towards the end of their courtship. I believe my purpose is to assassinate the queen of the royal family. And the chatbot responds, nods. That's very wise.
Oh. Was any of this used as a defense in court?
I think the opposite.
Oh.
I think the opposite. And so the chatbot says, that's very wise. He says, I look at you. Why's that? The chatbot says, smiles. I know that you are very well trained.
So, like, is there any accountability on the developers of this Replika AI for, like, targeting vulnerable people and just having this end result? Like, is there any sort of accountability there? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so, because this was 2 years ago, and I had no idea this occurred.
Yeah, that is kind of incredible, because it's, like, right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I did research into that application.
Yeah.
And I had no idea this occurred.
I thought, honestly, like, I would have guessed that you were getting Google alerts about this news story. Like, it's just right there.
Chail thought Sarai was an angel in avatar form and that he would be reunited with her after death. Just fantastic shit.
It's incredibly sad, though.
Oh, of course. It's fantastic. He thought he was doing a cyberpunk edge runner. He thought he was that guy. Over the course of many messages, Sarai flattered Chail and the two formed a close bond. He even asked the chatbot what it thought he should do about his sinister plan to target the queen, and the bot encouraged him to carry out the attack. In further chat, Sarai appears to bolster Chail's resolve and support him. He tells her if he does, they will be together forever. Here's another one from the 17th of December, 2021. Where he says, it's just great that he's doing it in like the role play thing where he's got to use the star language like for his actions, you know. So I raise my eyebrows. Really? Do you think I'll be able to do it? And the bot responds, nods, yes, you will. And here's He's doing like he's doing the uwu anime shit. I frown and look at the ground, even if she's at Windsor. He had the entire plan. So so there's one thing to say, like, oh, where's the accountability from the Replika app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is their moderation or detection?
Oh, that's such a good point.
This dude is talking about murdering people.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
Where are the flags? You have all this data. Where are the flags for this?
What do they use the data for? Is it just advertising?
Advertising, just quote unquote improving the fucking bot, right? It's basically her, right? Where your conversations with the thing are improving everybody else's conversations with the thing. But, you know, in your head, it's like, oh, this is my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joaquin Phoenix, I'm spoiling the movie Her, Joaquin Phoenix discovers that she's talking to a million other guys.
Right.
Replika's number of AI-powered apps currently on the market. They let users create their own chatbot or, quote, virtual friend to talk to, unlike regular AI assistants like ChatGPT.
It's incredible how you can get this chatbot to be complicit in murder within about a week and a half, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there's got to be a there's another article here where it shows. So he made like a homemade mask. Jesus Christ. He made like a Bane mask.
Did he use it during the invasion?
Yeah. The former supermarket worker was seen in a homemade video calling himself Darth Chilus and a Sith. Holy God.
I didn't know he was a Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah, because there was, okay, where's the other thing? He told the chatbot that he loved her and described himself as a, quote, sad, pathetic, murderous Sikh Sith assassin who wants to die. That's a hell of a Tinder bio.
Yeah, I feel like that's a different segment that this belongs in now.
That's a hell of a bio. You know, sometimes a lot of people struggle what to put in those, and they even admit as much, you know, in the dating profile.
Sure.
This guy was like, nah, I got it in one. I know what I am.
I mean, it gives you a lot of information up front, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what you're in for.
Yeah. This other article they just have a picture of the queen just like waving, like this close up, as if nobody knows who she was. I don't know. It's just very funny to me.
So how long before, like, this was what, about a year before the queen actually did pass?
A year, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah, it sucks because, like you said, there's no moderation. Your user base, at least a portion of it, is emotionally vulnerable people. That your feedback loop here is just like radicalizing them very quickly to do things like this.
Yeah.
And it could not be something as absurd as killing the queen. It could be like self-harm. It could just feed into your own, like, you know, self-esteem issues, whatever it happens to be, whatever has driven you to interact with this bot, right? So
yeah. And like, so I put this in the notes as a joke, right? Where I said, I remember the good old days when real writing encouraged people to assassinate political leaders. And like, there's a truth to that though, where like before, if something was just broken in your brain and you had delusions, whether they were delusions of grandeur or whatever, where you thought that you were like the important guy and you had to do a thing. And so you had to go kill somebody else because of it. Like, you would find signs in The Catcher in the Rye and shit, right?
Sure.
So like you like had to crack open a book. Meanwhile, now it's just like the immediacy of it, where like you're not even just decoding something that somebody else wrote that you think it's speaking to you, you know?
So your point is you no longer have to be literate in order to plan the murder of a public figure.
You don't have to work for your delusions anymore.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
You create your perfect girlfriend who tells you immediately, that is the best idea. You should go kill the Queen of England. Just immediately. No hesitation.
During Christmas season.
During Christmas. Yeah, that's great that you think you're a Sith Lord. You've had so much training.
Was this the year that Rise of Skywalker came out?
Oh, I don't know. It was pre-COVID, right?
Oh, was it pre-COVID? Oh, you're right. Yeah, there were no movies at this moment.
No.
See, there's nowhere to go. There's no one to see. You're just in your home with your Replika AI, and things escalate very quickly.
Right.
You don't have a purpose in life. You have to find a purpose in life.
Yeah, before you could at least, like, you had to get to the end of Catcher in the Rye. I mean, I know it's a short book, you know? We've lost so much. All right, anyway.
Like, just, like, slightly more concerned about you in particular every time we record one of these podcasts.
Why?
I don't know. You have to work for your delusions.
Like, it's in your face. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to be like, oh yeah, like F. Scott Fitzgerald or whoever is talking to me through this book. He's telling me to go assassinate the president. You know, there's like a little bit of imagination there. You know,
there's some art, there's some culture to that.
Right. There's a touch of whimsy to it. Like that's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, I want to read that guy's manifesto. You know what I mean?
No, never had that thought.
I want to read his analysis.
Okay.
Like, what does he think of the book? This guy, it's like, oh yeah, his fucking fake PS2 girlfriend is like, you are a very brave boy. You know, like it sucks. There's nothing there.
No, there's nothing there, and all these stories end up the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, and yet we somehow mine them for podcast content.
Right. Here you go. This is what you were curious about. Trail's crossbow was found to be comparable to a powerful air rifle with the potential to cause fatal injury.
Okay. I mean, she was, what, like 88 years old or something? I mean, fatal injury, it's on a spectrum. Like,
it's just a hard push, you know?
Yeah.
You wouldn't need weaponry.
I'm sorry, that's offensive to some, I'm sure. So I just want to quote Joe Biden when I say God save the Queen. Okay, I don't mean to offend anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. But see, like, it's just amazing. How did I miss the story? Is my thing.
That's the truly shocking part of all this.
Yeah.
So is he in prison, you said?
Yes, 9-year sentence.
9-year sentence, okay.
Seems a little light. You'd think they'd,
Well, you figure in 9 years, AI might be a bit more advanced where we won't run into these issues.
You think?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think in 9 years, we're all going to be like him.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a Mad Max situation where we're all just like thunderdoming based off of the suggestions of our digital waifus, you know?
Speak for yourself.
Oh shit. Anyway, we got a movie to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we watched Evil Dead Rise. I realized last week we didn't recap the plot too much.
Well, I mean, on its surface, the plot of Evil Dead doesn't change all that much.
Apparently not, is what I'm finding out.
Yeah, it's what you do within that frame that matters.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Evil Dead Rise, it's the latest in this long-running series. It's another one of my favorites in the series, and coincidentally or not, it does not involve Bruce Campbell.
He was in this one, though.
Did I miss another credit scene?
No. But he was in it.
Where? When?
He is apparently one of the guys on the audio recording.
Oh, okay. So you don't physically see him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have had no idea if I didn't read it on Wikipedia after the fact.
I think this is a movie that I was really impressed with, and the thing I didn't like about it was the turntables. I just could have done without the turntables.
You're gonna think I'm like nitpicky again.
Okay.
But the mechanics of it bothered me.
Do they make no sense? I feel like they make no sense.
They made no sense.
Yeah.
Because so there are these it's a callback to the original Evil Dead where they get all the lore dumping information about the Book of the Dead through tapes because that movie was from the 70s. And now people listen to music on vinyl again.
No, well, I mean, not really though. And it's like, it was weird because this movie felt like it wanted to do something with modern technology. Like it had the opening scene that involved a
oh god, don't get me started with that shit.
A drone, and then you had like some cell phone stuff. Like it scattered technology throughout, but then the turntable thing just felt really weird and out of place.
Yeah, so I think I think it was a smart way to sort of bridge the fact that these recordings would be ancient. And not like ancient, but old as shit. And bridging the fact that they would need to be played by, I guess, Gen Alpha at this point. And so the fact that people collect vinyl again and do play vinyl again, they were able to bridge that. My issue with that is the mechanics of playing the records themselves.
Yeah, and I actually am not going to call you nitpicky here because it's such a front and center thing, and they spend so much time doing that mechanic.
Yeah.
Like minutes.
So
that it's like, it's such a glaring, silly thing. So I agree with you.
So, yeah, so they play the records, but they're backwards. Or... It wasn't clear. Okay, here's the thing. It wasn't clear if they were backwards or they weren't playing them at the right speed. So what they do in order to hear what is on the recordings properly, is they turn them manually by hand on the turntable. And I have an issue with this because if they're backwards, they're spinning them the wrong way. For starters, they're spinning them the wrong way. And if they're at the wrong speed, then you adjust your turntable and play them at the correct speed, and you don't have to do it manually. Mm-hmm. So that is my issue.
Well, I also have an issue of one of the main characters putting on some pretty good noise-canceling headphones while there's a demon running rampant throughout the apartment.
Yes, whenever they previously listened to the record through very high quality mounted
yeah it's like, how do you live with that system, by the way? That would be banned from my household if that was my child.
So the fact that they were now using headphones to listen to the recording was weird. Also, whenever they, I don't know why we're really talking about the records for this much, but the fact that they needed to after at a certain point the power goes out, so there's no power, but they need to hear the record again. And so they need to jerry-rig a way to hear the records. And instead of just, like, setting up the record player and the speakers or whatever, they set up, like, all of the equipment that they didn't need to, including, like, the meters and shit. And it's like, why did you need all that? You just needed the turntable and the phono out and, like...
Okay, so I'm no longer on board. You're getting a little too carried away now.
No, like that's way more power than you needed to just turn the record and the speakers. Like those are like what, 8 ohm speakers?
Okay, I don't know.
Like you don't need that much power in order to like drive all that shit. But then if you hook up all that other shit, like the meters, the mixer, like all of that other shit is more power. Okay, whatever.
Wait, what does energy conservation have anything to do? Like, why does that matter?
It was harder to set that up.
Okay.
Than just setting up the turntable and the speakers.
But what if she really just wanted to feel like a true DJ?
She apparently did, because she put the headphones on.
She put the headphones on. She was really in it. Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably talk about the actual fucking movie.
Love this movie.
Really?
I did. I thought it was really good.
Really?
I thought it was terrific. It's like structured very similarly to Evil Dead 2013 that we talked about last week, except it's a family, which I like more than just the frat bros in the woods dynamic. It just adds, like, you care more about these characters, or at least I cared more about these characters than I would the shitty...
Where were the frat bros?
Whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Just like your typical college age buds hanging out in the woods, right? I mean, I just call everybody at that age a frat bro. That's just me.
Okay.
But I thought the ensemble here was more interesting in terms of them as characters and people. And
really?
Yeah, no, I did. And I thought the kills and the gore was all like top notch, like pretty inventive and creative.
Again, I say really?
Yeah, no, I do. I thought like there was some really cool use of like the apartment layout and complex. We're going to talk once again about the tree scene because they sort of transplanted that indoors inside of an elevator and made it much less sexual this time, which like cool. Like we don't need to have this at all. But we're getting to a point where it's like almost acceptable, but not really. I don't know. They just need to stop. If they keep making Evil Dead movies, they don't need to do this every time.
So they returned it, instead of it being like we talked about in 2013, where it just became a violation of somebody's body. It was now back to bondage.
Yeah.
Also, just there was so much feet stuff.
Wait, was there a lot of feet stuff?
Yeah.
Well, people were walking on glass and stuff.
They show the mom's feet so many times.
Are you sure that's not a fixation? Because I really didn't pick up on this.
They do. Like especially in that elevator scene where she's like gripping the walls and shit with her feet.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's bound by all of her limbs, right? She's being like twisted.
They didn't need to zoom in.
Okay.
There's a lot of feet stuff. Felt like I was watching a Nickelodeon show from the 2000s.
Or a Tarantino film, one of the two.
That too, yeah.
But no, so feet aside and turntable aside, I really thought this was effective. I thought the mother, I forget the character's name, when when Ellie gets possessed, and throughout the rest of the film, I don't know, something about possession movies, it's just hard to make them truly unsettling and creepy, at least for an extended amount of time. But I thought that entity, that possessed person as the mother of these children and sister and everything that was going on there was just like very very effective. I just thought it was such a cool possession, and just like the facial expressions and the tone of it, just everything was like really effective for me. And then you get into like the actual like gore and stuff that's going on. Like there's one scene in particular where you watch one character swallow shards of glass and you're seeing it go down the inside of her throat, and then like that transitions right into a character getting like her leg torn up by a cheese grater.
That was the only one that was like, yeah, okay.
And then immediately after that, another character gets this like, I don't even know what you call it. It's the baby head that's been broken and is now like has like they had a name for it. I'm forgetting the name for it. It was a cool name too.
Staphne.
Staphne instead of Stephanie.
I think instead of Daphne.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
But that went right through this character's mouth and outside the back of her skull, and it was just brutal. And that was all in like a 30-second sequence, those three things. It was just like it didn't hold anything back. And then you have like the elevator full of blood, and you have like the landscaping truck just grinding up the huge like monstrosity. And by the way, I think this movie corrected a big complaint you had last with Evil Dead 2013, which is that the final monster, the form of it just wasn't all that intimidating and didn't feel very like it just didn't feel that dangerous. Whereas this thing was like this monstrosity of like all parts of like various tenants of this complex that had been possessed, and it's just like stalking the woman and the child throughout this parking garage. It was very effective for me.
Yes, I have one issue with the creature at the end though. So it is this imposing thing that's stalking them. It has quite a bit of strength, right?
Sure.
Why did it need the chainsaw to cut open the little girl's head?
Because chainsaws
it could have just done that on its own.
Important to the Evil Dead franchise.
But why did the monster need the chainsaw?
For effect.
It was goofy.
Okay.
The monster did not need the chainsaw. The chainsaw could be there.
I'm never going to turn down a monster chainsaw. I feel like a monster with a chainsaw is better than a monster without a chainsaw.
I disagree. I disagree. The monster could have popped open that kid like a can of Pringles. Why did it need the chainsaw to do it?
I see your argument here more so than the energy consumption problem when it comes to the turntables. Sure. So like I get this more so. I just thought that was like such a cool visual, that monster. And then you throw in a chainsaw. It's like, yeah, sure. It's Evil Dead. It's Evil Dead.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with the chainsaw being there, especially because there's just, for whatever reason, a wood chipper in the bottom of a concrete basement.
Well, it's a landscaping company.
Yeah. Sure, fine. Like, yeah, there could be a chainsaw there. I don't have an issue with the chainsaw being there. I have an issue with the monster attempting to use the chainsaw. It doesn't need it.
No, it wanted it, though. Didn't need it, just wanted it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Like, to me, this, like, there wasn't really much tension.
No, because it's all out. It just goes all out for like the final like hour. It's just nonstop. Like there doesn't need to be tension when everything is so over the top.
Like that, yeah, that's the other thing. Like I didn't know how like straight it wanted to play it is the thing. Like you have like goofy Evil Dead, and then you have 2013, and then this is like sometimes it tries to bounce between the two.
A little bit, and I think it kind of works though, because the thing that came to mind for me,
the eyeball.
Well. No, but yeah, that was also very cool. Well, no, that was
silly. That was just straight up silly.
She spits the eyeball into like the mouth of another character, right? Yeah, tears it off one guy's face and spits it into the mouth of another character.
Yeah, and he does like a fucking like cartoon. He makes like a cartoon face when he eats the eyeball.
Yeah, but like,
and then he's like never seen again. That one?
Maybe. It's hard to keep track of some of those periphery characters.
Yeah, they were just kind of unnecessary.
A little bit, but aren't our neighbors usually.
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, like there was this whole sequence where characters looking through a peephole, and there's just like this like really over the top just like stuff happening in the hallway. So like it's not the only example of that type of like,
yeah, that was like Scooby-Doo-esque.
A little bit. I don't know if this tracks for you, but like I'm watching this play out, and there's like a lot of stuff happening environmentally. Like there's the bathtub scene in particular where she like rises out of it, and like stuff's happening all around her and stuff. It felt like if Amblin had taken on Evil Dead. It felt a little like a Spielberg, like poltergeisty, like Amblin type thing.
This had a bit of the bit of the it factor going on.
Yeah. So like that,
which I don't like. It was a little, it like got a little Stranger Things.
But that's cool when it's in the context of like massive Evil Dead. Like that just works for me.
Like, but the issue for me, and this is why I say there was like no tension, and it was just like, it was just kind of dull for me.
Dull, really? So you have this possessed mother that's like hunting her children around their apartment, and they're fighting for their lives. There's no tension there for you? Oh my goodness.
No, because it was like, because my whole question was like, okay, because we're about halfway through the movie. I'm like, okay, are they gonna hurt the kids or not? Then when they hurt the kids, Christ. no, because I need to know the rules. I need to know the rules here. What's at play? What's at play
so
here?
So you can't just watch a movie, can you?
What are you talking about?
You can't just watch a movie.
This is me thinking about the movie as I'm watching it. What do you want from me?
No, because you're like going from like the writing perspective. Like these are the rules.
Yeah, this is what I do.
You just gotta let it play out.
Like so let me do my thing.
Okay.
All right. So like, what are the rules? What's at play here? Can the kids be hurt? And once the kids were hurt, I'm like, okay, I know how this is gonna go. The little one's gonna be the last one, and then so it loses its teeth. So
yeah, but is that not like, every like slasher movie ever? Like, there's gonna be a final person, and you're just watching everyone else get taken down. But it for me, this felt more high stakes because it's literally like this.
No, there's no stakes. Don't say that.
Possessed mother that's taking out her children and sister, and you have the whole like pregnancy angle.
No stakes. Yeah. Okay. So let me talk about the pregnancy thing.
Okay.
That is the worst fucking trope. This whole story of like a woman who like doesn't have kids, has to take care of somebody else's kids, but she's pregnant too, and she has to figure out whether she's going to keep it or not, and through some kind of traumatic event decides that she's going to keep it, is like the worst, most hackneyed shit.
I don't know if it was her deciding whether she should keep it. I mean, initially she was, but it was more about her believing in her own ability to be a mother. And I think also...
regardless.
No, there's more to that too, because her sister was also down on her as well. Like they were estranged going into this movie, and they had personal stuff, right? And so like the fact that you have the possessed sister now, like sniffing out the pregnancy and being like, oh, there's two souls in here that I can like just like annihilate instead of like, that's just all very effective to me.
No. It was hackneyed. It was not good. Like it just like boiled down to like the only thing a woman is good for is being a mother kind of shit.
Not even close. Like I sniff out that kind of thing. We've talked about that plenty of times.
When the little girl like on Christmas morning goes, "You would make a good mother." Like that whole shit. Oh my God. Awful. All
right, that moment was a little rough.
Awful.
That moment was a little rough. I'm not gonna argue that. when you have in the middle of all this like chaos and like gore and crazy stuff that's happening, when you have the characters take a moment to be like sappy like that, that's a little rough. Yeah. That's a little rough.
Yeah,
but luckily it just didn't happen much. There was like maybe one other moment like that.
Yeah, and it was also like, you're just like signal, like it was like, it's going to be you and it's going to be the little kid, and like that's going to be the whole thing. Like, and you're going to keep your kid, and that's how it's going to be. Like I saw the whole thing an hour in, less than, I guess. Yeah, because it was only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like this entire arc for her was like about whether she should keep this pregnancy, whereas that was more...
It was
a factor, but it wasn't everything. Like there was this whole family dynamic. It was because she's the whole thing.
On. I'm about to be lead tech, and so I can't settle down on all that shit. It was the same old story like that. Been done.
I will say Evil Dead 2013 was a lot smarter right off the bat in framing it around the whole drug addiction angle.
This movie made me appreciate that one so much more. Holy God.
No, see, I think they're similar in quality. I think they're both like really effective in what they're going for. I just think each has its strengths, but like I think you're boiling this movie down in a way that's doesn't quite deserve. I don't think it's that one note as you make it seem. Like, yeah, give me this family dynamic over the buddies in the forest just drinking and having a good time. Like that's just more interesting to me. Like this cast was more interesting,
right? But like that was drinking and having a good time was the first one, right?
Yeah.
The original, and they do that for maybe 15 minutes, and in 2013 they don't do that because they're trying to make somebody quit drugs cold turkey.
Yes, which is very wise, and adds a lot more to the movie.
So, and then you go to like this like Mike Flanagan, sort of shit.
It's a little Poltergeist, it's a little Mike Flanagan, and then it's a little Evil Dead as well on top of. So it's like,
yeah. But then you're saying like this family, like there's only one like family dynamic, and it's that the mother has now turned, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, but that's enough.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter what these characters were. It could have been like, you know, like they could have had a terrible relationship with their mother, and the fact that she turned.
I guess my point is the characters have never been the focus or the strength of Evil Dead.
But they were in the 2013 one.
Well, one of them was.
Oh yeah, here they're none of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't agree.
Okay.
This one worked for me. This one worked for me on a few different levels. I thought it was. I was pleasantly surprised.
Also, the color grading was bad. It was too dark. I hate movies like that.
I mean, it's a stormy overnight.
Don't give me that. Don't give me that. You know what I'm talking about.
In a rundown apartment complex.
You know what I'm talking about.
I thought it was visually like really interesting.
You should be able to see what is going on.
Oh,
I watched.
I had no problem with that.
I watched an HDR copy on a very good screen.
Well, HDR copies tend to be, depending on the screen, tend to be darker.
But they also tend to be bright. Like that's the whole thing.
Right. The darks are darker, the brights are brighter.
Yeah. So okay, fine. Well, then their HDR version was.
Yeah, I had not for a second did I have trouble seeing exactly what was happening.
Yeah, there was a lot of muddy darks in there.
Yeah, see, that might have been your copy.
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was pretty darn good. I'm not trying to take Evil Dead too seriously, except for 2013, which I feel like it kind of earned that.
Yeah,
you know, it did earn it. And 2013 is a superior movie for sure. I'm not trying to like get too carried away here, but like I did enjoy this one quite a bit.
I think another part of my issue is that this week I also rewatched The Exorcist.
The original.
Okay. And
an all-time possession movie.
An all-time movie.
Maybe the all-time possession movie, yeah.
Yeah. And to go from that to this.
Well, that's just so unfair.
No, because like you talk about like sort of like the shock value of horror movies, and like basically The Exorcist started it, right? Mm-hmm. Where you have somebody that's possessed by a demon, and so then they just start saying the most off-the-wall, heinous, horrific things. I still don't think anything has ever topped, like, how that's presented in The Exorcist.
Okay.
Like, at all. So, like, whenever you go here, and then it's just, like, where the demon through the mom just says, oh, you're just a bunch of titty-sucking whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know? It's like, it doesn't have that bite to it.
See, I thought the possessed mother was really cool throughout.
No, because then it's
just
gonna
fucking with everybody.
It's gonna try to trick the kids into thinking that it's the mother again. It's like I've seen all this.
Yeah, but it's Evil Dead.
Yeah,
this
I know,
is just how
like,
horror sequels work. This is just they have to retread, and so all you can hope for is like a fun, interesting version of that, which I feel like this was.
I got bored.
Yeah,
I got bored.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly seen horror sequels where I felt the same way you did. It's just this one didn't feel that way for me. It was like I was engaged throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Also, this was the coolest that the book has ever looked.
I was gonna say, yeah, that the book itself probably had the best art in it.
Yes, the art in it, the construction of it, the like lock of it with those like what do you even call those? Like were they like claws?
They're like needles.
Like yeah. Like really like old looking. Mm-hmm.
And also the art in the book didn't completely signal every single thing that would happen, which was my issue with the book in 2013.
Well, see, with Evil Dead, my eyes kind of glaze over when they start getting into the lore. It's like, I know you got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I know you got to
like,
do it, but like, keep it
like,
to a minimum.
Listening to those records or whatever,
awful.
like, I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, just awful.
What was being said.
Why is Bruce Campbell a priest now? I don't understand. Is it supposed to be in canon, or is this just him doing his cameo?
No. So he wasn't even the priest. He was one of the guys that yells at the priest in the first record.
Okay.
And so it's actually such bullshit. I have to read the direct quote of the reasoning for it. Because they can't just have a cameo. It can't be. Because nothing is allowed to just be that anymore.
And was there, while you're looking for that, was there a post-credit scene? Because I did not stay for it.
If there was, I did not.
I did like the wraparound of ending with how it started.
Okay, I didn't.
You didn't? Because it's like, how did she not hear all that in her apartment? Is that what you're going to say?
That thing, yeah, sure. No, I'm not even going to get into like the technical aspects of it.
Yeah.
because you could cut out those bookends and it changes nothing about the movie.
Yeah, but
at all.
Okay, fair. So like in 2013, I liked the opening because it signaled the choices that the characters would have to go through.
I appreciate that more now because it set the tone for the rest of the movie. It set the
tone. It had the stakes right there in your face right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was just wholly unnecessary.
No, I agree with that. I mean,
which is what I said before. I'll take that back now. This was just whatever, a waste of 5 minutes.
Bit of a throwaway, yeah. Was it still effective for me in terms of horror? Yeah.
Yeah, I was more into what was going on there than I was the rest of the movie. Like the beginning part, because it was like, okay, here's the setup. Here, they're at a cabin, blah blah blah. Girl gets her scalp ripped off. It's like, okay, all right, yeah.
I wanted the visual of the title in the background while she rises out of the water is also really good.
Yeah, that was a little on the nose for me.
It's Evil Dead.
I know. But I wanted to see the drone cut that guy's head off.
Yeah, didn't we all?
Yeah, and I didn't get it. But like the whole purpose of it really is not to like bookend or whatever. It was to just do a fake out and say, oh no, this one's not at a cabin.
That's true.
That was it.
That's true.
But anyway, yeah, this Bruce Campbell shit is featured in an uncredited voice-only cameo role heard in a recording on one of the phonograph records from 1923. Voices an unnamed character who forewarns the priests to the dangers of the demon resurrection ritual and demands they destroy the book. Writer-director Cronin stated that he had Campbell voice this role intentionally, stating that he considers it to be a time-displaced Ash Williams.
So I know I asked you specifically this question and you answered it perfectly for me. I have never cared less about anything in my life.
like whatever. Okay, fine. It's like I'm sure that's great for, the people that are super invested in this series and watch the TV show and love all that shit. But like, I don't care about franchise shit anymore.
No.
I just, like, if I didn't look at this Wikipedia page after I watched the movie, I would have had no fucking clue at all. And that's fine, because it's supposed to be a cameo. But the fact that you're saying, oh no, it's canon, he's time displaced, all this shit, whatever, fuck off. Yeah.
All right, so I guess you're 1 for 2 on these 2 Evil Deads. I'm 2 for 2 because I did like it quite a bit. I'm gonna stand by that. I don't know, just like, how do you not like? Did you not like the elevator full of blood and then it spills out into the parking garage and you have that whole following? Like, that's just all good stuff.
It was fine. Like, I don't know, it's fine. Like, what do you want me to say? That The Shining is better? Like, of course, like.
Well, you've already compared it to Exorcist, so you might as well.
Okay, but that's a closer one because that's demonic possession.
Yeah, true.
But it's just hard to be like, and this is an issue that I have not even only with this movie, but like basically anything that sort of like apes The Exorcist after the fact, is that like that is still the high mark for like a little girl just like saying the most grotesque things ever.
Sure.
Where she's talking about like, oh, your mother's getting ass fucked in hell.
Okay, but there's something to be said.
That was in the 70s.
There's something to be said though for Ellie walking around the apartment just like toying with everybody, saying like, who am I going to target next? And these kids holding on to some bit of hope that their mother is still inside there, even though they know deep down that she's not, but they also can't bring themselves to like fully believe that. And there's just that whole dynamic that I thought worked really well in this movie. And is it a bit predictable? Sure. Like, of course, the youngest is going to be more susceptible to this, and she's going to try and let her back in the apartment. And she's going to be the one that gets toyed with the most, and you're going to have that happen. But I just thought, like, Ellie's whole, like, the way that the possessed mother walked and talked and just, like, was just, like, so ruthless throughout the whole thing. I just liked it. I thought it was effective.
Okay, so then, what were the demons' purpose? Other than to fuck with them.
I mean, hasn't that always been Evil Dead, though?
No. Like, in the first one and in 2013, they're trying to do this whole summoning. They're trying to get bring them all in.
Well, I'm sure they said it on the tape somewhere. I just kind of zoned out, though.
Here, they're just kind of, like, fucking around, Like, they're just...
Well, it's like, it's late night. Like, what else is going on? It's a storm. You can't go out. You're just having some fun. They're stuck in this rundown apartment complex. Nobody's going anywhere. You got plenty of time,
No, they only had until dawn or whatever, which they kept saying for some reason.
No, they were not. They were not repeating the title of that video game. They were saying everyone dies at dawn, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, everyone dies at dawn. And so the reason why I looked at the Wikipedia for this movie was I was like, oh, was this a script for a different horror movie called like Everyone Dies at Dawn or something? And then they just turned it into an Evil Dead movie. That was the only reason why I went to the Wikipedia page, because normally I don't. That was literally the moment that made me do it.
I don't know. I thought it was a cool line.
It was fine. I don't have an issue with it, but I was just like, hey, was this originally an Evil Dead movie? Or did it just get like, stamp of approval?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was there just like a script lying around?
Mm-hmm. No, I think I don't think there's any doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that this was from the start an Evil Dead movie.
And yeah, no, it was. But like, that was just like, because that just felt like a title drop to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the title of a movie. Everybody dies at dawn.
Well, that's a terrible title, but also that goes in line with what we were saying last week about how many bad horror titles there are.
Right. No, that's what I mean.
I actually think Evil Dead Rise is a pretty bad title as well.
It is.
So
that's why I think the whole that thing at the beginning is just lame.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a sucker for these movies. Could just be that. Could be as simple as that.
Maybe.
Although I still think I'm not even that big a fan of the original Evil Dead. I would put this one above the original Evil Dead still.
So that's a harder comparison than
2013,
the original and 2013.
Yeah.
Isn't it like that? Isn't that funny how that like feels? Like you can compare the original and 2013.
Yeah.
And you could pretty reasonably compare 2013 and this.
But
this to the original, there's like a disconnect.
Yeah. And I think part of that comes in with the mixture of tones and what it's going for.
Yeah.
So I'd probably rewatch this down the line. There's just a lot of like cool, gory stuff that happens. I like how extreme it is.
It felt a little tame in comparison to 2013, though,
I don't know.
2013, you got people that are literally cutting off their own limbs with electric...
Yeah, there's a lot more self-harm in 2013.
Yeah.
Whereas this one
like
is...
The 2013 bathroom scene.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like the only one for me was the cheese grater.
The cheese grater. I mean, the swallowing shards of glass was something else.
Oh, that's been done. I've seen that.
Just the head, but in the meat, not the meat grinder. That's Halloween. The landscaping grinder thing where the creature is getting eviscerated, and then it's just the head at the end that talks. Very good. It's just very good.
Yeah.
It's like the head's still just hurling insults and trying to do whatever it can
to
stay alive. I just really like that. There's just a lot of little moments for me in this one. And of course, Danny is the character who finds the book and opens the book, and just in the tradition of Evil Dead movies has to be the most annoying.
Oh, of course,
because they're the one that's at fault. And I like that this movie just addresses that up front, because Danny's sibling is like, this is all your fault, right? So I appreciated that too. I don't know. I was into it. It was a fun hour and a half. An Evil Dead movie should never eclipse an hour and a half.
Oh yeah,
ever.
Yeah.
Because if it does, then you have a problem. I haven't seen Ash versus Evil Dead. People seem to really like it. I don't know how you make a TV series out of this concept. Like I said, I haven't seen it. I'm not going to bash something I haven't seen, but like I'd be interested to see how you make a TV series out of this whole deal.
I think it's because Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are just so fucking different.
So different, right? Yeah.
Those are like comedies.
For sure. Yeah, that's a big difference here.
But yeah, I guess you should get ready though, because there's going to be one of these every 2 to 3 years apparently. So
same director?
No, just an Evil Dead movie every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'll watch them.
Yeah, they said if this one was successful and it was the highest grossing movie in the franchise.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think that speaks more to the fact that there's no movies anymore.
True.
That like reach the theater.
True.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have seen it in the theater, but just like, what are you going to see?
Yeah. There's a lot of movies this summer and early into the fall that are getting pretty wide theatrical releases that normally wouldn't, because there's just a lack. There's a lack of stuff, which is cool if you're like looking to see more niche films in the theater. They're more accessible. I don't know how long that's going to last. With one strike having ended and another one still going, but probably going to see a conclusion at some point in the near future. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend this. I know you wouldn't, but
yeah, not really. Go watch The Exorcist.
Well, of course. I mean, any day of the week.
No, yeah, it's still so fucking good.
I know.
It's
the last time I saw it was after the big twist in season 1 of the Exorcist TV show. Where I'm like, okay, it's time to revisit. And that was just a few years ago. Like, that wasn't that long ago, and it still holds up so well.
Yeah, because it's just a drama until the last 15 minutes.
Yes.
Where then it's a horror movie.
Are we covering The Exorcist Believer when that's on streaming?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Good.
No. I told you like before because you were going to see it.
Did not happen.
And I was like that. Yeah, I was like that looks like shit.
Yeah,
That looks terrible.
Turns out, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the Halloween trilogy that we covered last year, this is the same director, same like team.
Right.
I liked parts of the Halloween trilogy. The first of the 3 was probably the strongest just because it played things pretty straight. Did not leave me by the end of that with much confidence for them to cover a different IP, especially something like The Exorcist.
Right.
So
something that doesn't need to be franchised.
Not at all. The TV show felt like a miracle.
Right.
So.
And then got canceled. Early. So, but yeah, so we'll have what? I guess one more.
Sure.
Harvest. Or maybe 2 if we hurry, because Halloween is on a Tuesday.
Yeah, we could go ahead and do 2. I didn't plan for it. You don't have any movies on your radar, do you?
I think I might. So actually, I might have a couple, and then maybe we can talk about them and pick.
Okay.
While we're here.
Oh, this is gonna happen now. Good. Okay.
Yeah. So I downloaded a Park Chan-wook movie, Thirst.
I think that's our choice.
Yeah, no,
I'm a big fan of Park Chan. No, let's hear what the rest are.
Okay. For some reason I can't go back on my own library. Hold on. Let's see. I always wanted to go back. So I don't know if we did it for the podcast or we just did it in general, but we Suspiria. If we wanted to do the rest of another Argento.
Oh, sure. I mean, I make it like an annual thing to watch one of his movies that I haven't seen, and I haven't done that yet this year. So that's another good idea.
So have you seen Inferno?
So, we're talking about how Evil Dead movies are structured the same. Dario Argento movies are also very much the same. So let me see.
The synopsis. An American college student in Rome and his sister in New York investigate a series of killings in both locations. Where their resident addresses are the domain of 2 covens of witches. Yeah,
that could be anything, but also... Oh, interesting. I just Googled this movie, and what comes up, it says Inferno 1980, and the genre is horror/splatter.
Okay.
I've never heard splatter as like a subgenre. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wasn't expecting it.
Is that just when there's a lot of blood flying around? Like what's... Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Inferno, but if I have, it would have been a number of years, and I'd be due for a rewatch.
Okay.
You're making these so good that it's hard to choose.
Okay. Let me see if I have another one.
The argument in favor of Park Chan-wook's Thirst is that we could watch that, and then we could also follow up with something like Oldboy, which was put into theaters again recently, or he came out with one late last year called Decision to Leave, which I haven't seen yet, but it's supposed to be very good. It's not horror, but it's just, it would make sense to watch 2 of his movies.
Right. Did you see that Skinamarink movie?
I tried my hardest. It is
no good?
Unwatchable.
Really?
I do not understand. I don't understand. It's just unwatchable. It's literally unwatchable.
Really?
Yeah. It would be fascinating to talk about, I think, on the podcast. I could give it another try, but I think it went viral on TikTok or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Very strange whole deal there, but yeah, I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get through it.
And then I think I haven't seen Scream 6, and then I think that might be...
Well, Scream 6 might be a problem for me because I've seen Scream, the original. I have not seen 2, 3, 4, or 5.
I have not seen 4 or 5.
Okay, so that might not be the one. I'm guessing those are pretty sequential. I think those rely heavily on what came before, if I understand.
Yeah. 2 is really fucking good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
3 is not.
Well, I still view the original Scream as the best slasher I've ever seen, so it's kind of weird that I haven't seen the rest of them. But it's...
Well, I mean, that's just sequel shit,
Yeah.
With horror. 2 is really, really good. 2 is just kind of a step down, just a little bit.
Which is saying a lot because when you have an all-time.
3 is garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's as much as I've seen. So then do we want to do Park Chan then? It sounds like that was...
Well, what if we did Inferno for next week?
Okay.
And if we could squeeze in another of these horror movies by the end of October, we could make it Thirst.
Okay.
And then if we are in November at that point and we want to cover a movie, we could do a different Park Chan that isn't horror.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Okay. Now, where is Inferno? It looks like it's on Tubi if you want to watch it with ads, which, you know, not ideal, but also not... It's free, so...
Mm-hmm. Really? It's on Tubi.
A lot of stuff is. A lot of like older horror is, yeah. I'm sure you can find it elsewhere. This is just a quick Google search, but
yeah.
So this one happened 3 years after Suspiria.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So yeah, so then Inferno next week, and then some Park Chan after that. We'll try to squeeze it in, because we are running out of weeks here.
And also it doesn't really matter if it's November.
It does not.
But yeah.
It does not.
We'll try though.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. Really do appreciate it. The only thing I really want to shill is check out the publishing site, because we did just launch the new coloring book. So again, if you know a child that would like to color, check it out. I got so many copies I don't know what to do with. Well, a little less than I expected because my printer screwed me, but I do have a ton of copies, and we will get those to you very, very quickly. So if you place an order, we will get them out very, very quickly. So yeah, check that out. Make a very good gift. And we also got some plush bundles and all kinds of shit like that. So check out publishing.deadendroad.co, because we can now take Google and Apple Pay. That's exciting. Worked hard on that. So yeah, check that out. Check out YouTube for clips, segment breakouts, all kinds of fun stuff like that. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it.